I swam around collecting a bunch of copper for the rest of the day, and on the morning of day 84. Then finally got back to work chopping down jungle trees. I then bamboozled some more Fletchers so I could get some more tools, but mostly so I could get more beds. But the shepherd was even more broke than I was somehow, so I got him a new workstation to get his bread up. I then harvested a variety of trees and leaves for building materials for the rest of the day, and I slept at the end of the day to hopefully get rid of phantom spawns. On the morning of day 85, I pulverized more trees into cubic meters of sawdust. I began by materializing the outline whilst tweaking the size and shaping along the way. I'm starting with the house part of this half windmill, half residential building. So I built up some dark oak pillars, stripped the logs, and then began deliberating on the size and placement of the windmill's base. And my deliberation had concluded, so I began building up the windmill's base with stone. I then took a look in replay mod, and then began work on adding in a dark oak border to introduce some contrast to the build. I then decided on the placement of the pillars for the actual windmill building, and then began extending said pillars skywards, and then began placing in the walls and adding in more pillars with jungle wood and jungle logs on the morning of day 86. I then assembled some dark oak fences, and then went scuba diving to collect more aggregate, which I then used along with some white dye I crafted with bone meal to craft some concrete powder. I then turned said concrete into concrete using the power of hydration and excavation. I then began on actually adding the actual windmill sails, starting with adding in the wooden frames of the sails with dark oak fences. After deliberating on the sizing and shaping of the wooden outlines, I decided on a shape I liked and replicated it for the other three directions. I then began placing in the actual sails with concrete. How would this windmill function with literal cubic meters of concrete instead of cloth attached to the sails? Stop asking questions. Anyways, I matched the shape of the wooden frame and made sure to layer it to give the sail a 3D effect, so it looks like there's actually wind blowing into them. I then began adding in some trapdoors and stairs along the wooden frame to make it look better. Then on the morning of day 87, another iron golem spawned, and my masculinity once again felt threatened, so I trapped him in a box forever. Keep your friends close and your enemies in a cobblestone box and leave them to starve, right? I then began collecting dark oak wood so I could continue working on the windmill, and then decided to trap my shepherd villagers in a cobblestone box as well to decrease morale. I released the villager that didn't trade beds, but then the other villager escaped to follow his dreams or something. But unless this villager's dream is to trade me an infinite number of beds forever, they're never coming true, so I trapped him again. I then got back to work adding in the sails and the details to the sails with trapdoors and stairs. And I did a few too many water bucket clutches along the way. It's literally day 87, what is wrong with me? I continued working on that for a while, and also this is mildly terrifying to do at night because if a phantom spawns right now and knocks me off here, the last 87 days might have been for nothing. Anyways, I then realized that I had built one of the sail frames wrong, so I broke it down and rebuilt it.